The UAE wants to be a leader in this space. And so the ability to say a little bit ahead of schedule, the Paris Agreement says to update the NDCs on a 5-year basis. So 2025 would have been the year. So it's a bit early. And then to say we're going even further, that's making a political statement and making a leadership gesture that they hope other countries will follow along. But this is really a story, I think, about electricity generation. And the reason why the UAE is able to accelerate its emissions targets, to lower its emissions, is because it's had so much success in generating more electricity from nuclear power, from a renewable source. And so that's really what eases the way. And when we transfer that conversation from UAE domestic ambitions to what it wants to see other economies do, particularly developing economies, which the minister spoke about, they can have it both ways. They can both still be in the oil and gas business and also be in the business of deploying and investing in renewable power capacity across a large geography. And that is mostly through the company Masdar, which is building and developing solar power plants all over the world.
Karen, I thought it was fascinating this week in Foreign Affairs. You wrote, no matter how important these Gulf actors become in the clean energy business, they're going to insist that oil and gas continue to play a starring role. And there's no real surprises there because, as the minister says, you can't necessarily just flick a switch, turn off those oil and gas investments and switch directly to renewables because the economic and the security and supply consequences would be so profound. So walk us through how you see this playing out into the future. Can these countries dig wells and do good at the same time?
They can, and the minister is correct. We can't turn a switch, right? This is not something that's going to happen easily. The debate really is about what happens in weaker economies and developing economies and what they do, especially those that are oil and gas producers. So it's one thing for the UAE to say, yes, we're gradually agreeing to a phase down, not a phase out of our oil and gas production. But if you're a country with a much higher dependency for what the government spends of your fiscal budget of oil and gas revenue, then you're going to be a little bit hesitant to make a commitment like that. So the UAE, among its neighbors, is a more diversified economy, but still very much dependent on oil and gas revenues. But compared to a country like Iraq or, say, Libya or Algeria, it's certainly very, very different. Even neighbor Saudi Arabia is much more dependent.